Honorable Chief Guest and Chief Speaker, Professor Manoj Panda sir, esteemed our Executive Committee members of our Alumni Association, Dr. Gopal Chandra Satpathy sir, Prabhat Dutta sir, Dr. Simanchal Mishra sir, our esteemed Dr. Kumar, Associate Professor of Economics, Gangadhar University, and the Joint Secretary of our Alumni Association, Department of Economics, Sambalpur University. Professor T.K. Das will join us soon. Then all our revered alumni present, research scholars, students who have joined us here as well as who have joined online. I offer a very warm welcome to you all and to this extramural lecture organized by us in collaboration with our Alumni Association. Today we are lucky enough to have among us Professor Manoj Panda sir as our speaker on a very relevant topic of Odisha and Western Odisha in particular. He is a well-known economist, Indian economist, who has worked in different prestigious institutions such as IGIDR, Mumbai, Center for Economic and Social Studies, CESS, Hydrabad, Institute of Economic Growth, Delhi, and in other different national and international institutions on different global, national and regional issues. He has worked with reputed economists such as Professor M.N. Murthy, Professor Raghavendra Jha, Professor R. Radhakrishnan, Professor Pranab Mukhopadhyay, Professor Amita Saha, Professor A. Ganesh Kumar, Professor S. MacDonald, Professor Jyoti Parekh, Professor Kirit Parekh, Professor Srijit Mishra, Professor Ajit Ranade, Professor Sasanka Vide, and many more. His works cover important issues directly related to the people, with their poverty, well-being that reflected through the food and nutrition security, the environment in which they live, how industrialization has affected economic growth and has affected the environment, to what extent it is inclusive by reducing poverty, and to what extent the traditional measure of economic development has failed to capture the environmental loss that it has brought. His works also cover the impact of economic reform, especially the trade liberalization, on issues related to recession. His important works are Growth with Equity, Policy Lessons from the Experience of India, Macroeconomics of Poverty Reduction, India Case Study, Economic Growth, Energy and Carbon Dioxide Emissions in India. We know that when there is economic growth, there is also demand for more energy, and that energy demand creates carbon dioxide emission and creates global warming. So sir has contributed in that way economic growth, energy demand and carbon dioxide emission in India from 1990 to 2020. Fixing income and price targets for the poor in India. Generally what we see, to To estimate the poverty, we consider the poverty line income. Here only income is considered, but income is not enough. How price has affected the poor, that has not been captured, and what is the income requirement, that way it has been discussed in the Journal of Development Economics. Similarly, here we worked on ecological economics at the interface of nature, economy and society. How economic development has affected the nature, environment, and how society is affected social, that way it has been taken care of. Similarly, the measuring green GDP of India. Basically, when we are estimating GDP, we are not capturing the depreciation of natural capital. That has to be taken care of through green GDP or environment accounting. Such paper measuring green GDP of India is way forward to develop database. Similarly, current status of environmental and economic accounting, review of some countries' experience and the way forward for India. An Asia's perspective on a world environmental organization is another important work by SAR. Similarly, consumption pattern by income groups and carbon dioxide implication for India from 1990 to 2010. So how economic development has created income, and that income from different income groups are creating carbon dioxide emission. That is the basic major message and information from that paper. Economic development, poverty reduction and carbon emission in India. That is another paper where he has written how economic development can create poverty reduction, but at the same time it can also create carbon dioxide emission and can result in climate change, global warming. Similarly, strategies for agricultural liberalization, consensus for growth, welfare and development in the distribution. So liberalization, economic reform has introduced liberalization, trade liberalization. That trade liberalization has affected agriculture. It can affect the economy, and how it affects the different sections of the people in the economy is found from that paper. Similarly, evaluating quality of budget with a composite index. Budget, according to him, is not simply revenue and expenditure. It matters to the economy, how different segments of the economy is affected by pattern of expenditure and the pattern of financing the budget. So, evaluating the quality of budget with a composite index is an important contribution by SAR in that regard. Similarly, reforms in Indian agro-processing and agriculture sector in the context of unilateral and multilateral trade agreements is another important contribution by SAR. Carbon dioxide emission reduction strategy and the economic development of India. India's trade policy choices, managing diverse challenges. How different challenges which we can face due to our trade policies, liberalizing trade policies, how it will bring different challenges and how we will be able to manage the challenges are the focus point of his paper. Similarly, trade liberalization, poverty, food security in India. So how trade liberalization will affect the poverty and affect the food security. In his paper he has shown that trade liberalization can bring economic growth, but it may not reduce poverty. Even if it may reduce income poverty, but it may not reduce the nutrition security, nutrition insecurity. So in that paper we come into, we find all these informations. So similarly, not only he has to work on the global and national issues, he has also worked on regional and specifically Odisha focused issues like malnutrition and food insecurity in Odisha, a profile. His contribution, deliberation in NCDS Navakrishna Chaudhary Development Studies, Bhubaneswar, an ICSSR institution. In that institution, sir has delivered the talk on poverty estimation relating to Odisha in 2003, which was the main background paper of the chapter poverty in the Odisha Human Development Report. These are a few but very important contributions of Manoj sir. I'd like to inform our students that sir is an alumnus of Sambalpur University who has completed his graduation from this department in the year 1976. Sir was kind enough to visit our university frequently to enlighten us from time to time. I still remember how he became emotional in his last lecture in the department in Hall 2, where two of his friends, Tripathi sir and Bhavagrai sir, were also present at the time, and all of them remember their days here in the 70s. Today we are missing Bhavagrai sir and Tripathi sir, Ratha sir and Saurabh sir, with whom I had an opportunity to work and learn. Bhavagrai sir promised us to be with us today, but due to some unavoidable work, he expressed his inability to be with us now. Ratha sir also promised me and he was interested to join us, but due to his tight schedule in OPSC, he is also unable to join us. Some of our alumni who are in colleges in Sambalpur are also interested to join us, but due to the +3 examination and OS examination, today they are not in a position to attend the seminar lecture or offline. However, they will be joining us online. Uma Das sir from Women's College and Muralidhar sir from GM University will join us online. Some of our alumni such as Bakshi sir, Ratikanta sir, who are not staying in Sambalpur now, they will also get the benefit of this, they will also join us online. Those scholars who are not able to join us today, they will also be joining online, and those who are not able to join us online even, they will also have the access to this lecture because we are recording it and will upload this in the website. So there will be wide access of this lecture. I must say, we have a very glorious past and a very rich alumni base. I'll fail in my duty if I do not acknowledge the support and cooperation we have received from our alumni. In course of time, we find when our number of teachers in the department is declining because of superannuation and leaving of some faculty to other institutions, and government is not filling up that post because of some policy measures, we beg upon our alumni. Our people have a strong feeling of belongingness for the department, and even after the superannuation, even after joining some official responsibilities, they have served the department. I remember Saurabh sir, I remember the contribution of Ratha sir, I also remember the contribution of Uma Das sir, Umapati sir, Gopal Satpathy sir, who have contributed to the department by taking classes and engaging themselves, involving and cooperating us in various activities of the department. For organizing this extramural lecture, I also sought the help of our alumni. And through WhatsApp group, I got the approval from that alumni executive committee members in few hours only. In future also, we are planning to have more number of such lectures online as well as offline. I also say that we have a plan of academic engagement of our department with our alumni, particularly to study the economics in the field. Some of our alumni, such as Simanchal Mishra sir, who is very much associated with the civil society, we will have collaborative works with him in understanding the people's challenges, opportunities and the choices in different parts of Western Odisha will work together. We are fortunate enough to have you all in this meeting. Let me stop here, requesting our beloved Kumar sir to say a few words regarding our association, department, Manoj sir and the topic. Pati sir, please.
Respected head of the department, Professor last name, esteemed chief speaker, and a proud alumnus of this department only, Professor Manoj Panda sir, all respected members of the alumni of this department, research scholars, students and everyone, those who have present there, those who have joined online. Thank you for giving me this opportunity and also inviting me to this occasion. When Madam called me 2 days back and Lopa ma'am also called me, this kind of program I have organized and we are going to organize on behalf of the Alumni Association, then instantly I said yes, I will be coming despite the busy schedule. But one thing that basically killed me from inside, it was like we formed the Alumni Association in 2017, I hope. I think 2017 or 18 when Professor Roth sir was the Vice Chancellor of JM University. We started in a very big way. We were all optimistic of organizing such beautiful programs, but I would hesitate to accept the fact that I have failed in doing so. The alumni base, as Madam hinted, the alumni base is very strong, and you can see in front Professor Manoj Panda sir, a celebrated economist, a reputed economist. He is here. He is a part of the alumni of this department, and so far we have not succeeded in inviting such alumni, connecting those great personalities to our department for the benefit of our students and the research scholars. So there is the blame should be on us. I am also a part of the executive committee of the alumni. Having said, Madam has already introduced Professor Panda sir. I am a very small PhD to talk about Professor Panda. But one thing I will definitely tell about Professor Panda and for the benefit of our students. There is a beautiful song by Yeshudas. You know that. It says that जिसकी रचना इतनी सुंदर वो कितना सुंदर होगा. Our teachers are Professor Sudhanshu Rath sir, Professor Bhavadai Misra sir, Sarab sir, E.K. Tripathi sir. They are our teachers. They have made us. And our teachers have been prepared and they have been empowered and made by Professor Panda. So he is the creator of our teachers. So if our teachers are so strong, so beautiful and so good, then you think about Professor Panda. He is the creator of our teachers. So thank you very much sir for accepting the invitation and making yourself available. In true sense, you are an inspiration for all of us. We have followed you right from our student days. When we were studying in this department 20 years back, our teachers, they were giving your example. And I have had the opportunity to present myself in so many talks and speeches that you have given in the past also. I was a student in JNU 20 years back after leaving the department, so that time also I came in contact with you, but I could not maximize after that because I could not keep track and could not contact with you that time. Anyway, thank you very much sir for honoring the invitation and making yourself available. Second important thing that I want to tell you about is the Alumni Association. As I said, we have failed in giving justice to the very concept of the Alumni Association and the objectives of the association. So let's take the place today itself that come forward and give our helping hands to the department. As Madam said, the department is depleted with teachers. We don't have sufficient teachers. Only 2 teachers are there and they are also administratively engaged for the development of the university. So it is our responsibility to come forward and also contribute in different ways. The Mo College Abhijan that Government of Odisha is following. The mandate of this program is not just to contribute financially. It is about connecting with the institution, connecting with the alma mater. So therefore, it is our responsibility, the Alumni Association and all the students, research scholars, to connect all those great people who have passed out from this department, have contributed tremendously to society, the economy, in the different capacities. And Professor Panda is one among them. He has done a lot of work. He is a national, international figure now, and he is a student of this department. So let's connect with these people. Let our students in the new generation get inspired by the very presence of these people among us. So on this day today, I must say that let's come forward and extend our helping hand for Alumni Associations to become stronger and the department to get enriched out of the stock that we are having. So thank you very much for inviting me and also giving the opportunity to be a part of the dais where Professor Panda is sitting here. Thank you very much.
For having gone through some of the papers, its contents, and summarizing them very well. What I intend to do today is to tell certain issues about food security. When I discussed with Professor Das, we thought food security will be a wider topic which will be of interest to many students. I will begin with a brief introduction, then spend a couple of minutes on the concept of food security and various dimensions. Also the changing policy framework. We spend a little bit time on prevalence and impact of COVID-19 on food security with some concluding remarks. That's the structure of my talk. As Professor Das told, I become emotional on some occasions. So I try to control myself today. I become nostalgic when I come here. But anyway, with that admitment, food is an essential item for sustenance of life. A child is born, the child cries and looks for some food, some milk from the mother. So availability of adequate food, it has also determined locations of civilizations. Different civilizations, they have migrated from one place to the another historically. When there was a food problem in one location and they went to greener pastures. Now, despite the critical role played by food, certain section of the population, even now they face food security problem. Some of the authors who have worked on it, particularly Amartya Sen, he drew attention long ago that at this stage of the development of the world economy, we should not be facing some of the basic problems of human life, like food. But yet, as per a report of 2022 by the State of Food Security and Nutrition in the world, 773 million or 9.8% of the world's population, they remain undernourished in 2021. Of course, 2021 was a year followed by the COVID, which started in 2020. But even earlier, prior to COVID, about 7 to 8% of the population, they faced the food security problem. I think what this also implies is that when the various nations are committed to meet the social development goal, on some fronts of the social development goal, particularly SDG 2, which relates to hunger and food, we might not be able to achieve it by the targeted date 2030. I am talking at a global level. So, but the COVID-19 and the subsequent global tension due to the current ongoing war between Russia and Ukraine and the breakdown of the global trade system, that has also aggravated the problem. But with this much brief background, let's move on. What is the concept of food security? It has, if you see various authors in the literature, different people define it very, somewhat differently, not very differently. After all, it has to be centered around the food need of the people. For example, if you see the Indian economic development books or Indian economic books in the 50s and 60s, that time food security essentially meant producing enough to meet domestic demand. What it meant is, that time India was depending quite a bit to meet domestic demand on imports, and often India's international image was determined by some of the food aid that we used to get, that India needs to get this aid to feed its people, particularly in the wake of the drought, two consecutive drought years of 1965-66, and the PL 480 help that was given by the USA. So that is at one level, that you are talking of the national food security. Are we producing enough to meet domestic demand, to feed enough to the people? But currently, food security is basically considered from the point of view of the household, and whether members in a household, they are receiving enough food. A household, to take the definition, for example, a simple definition could be that a household is food secure if it can meet food needed by its member. Of course, that begs the question, what is the need of how much food we need, or what kind of food we need. I'll come to some of them soon. But all these things also means that the moment we go from nation to household, various types of questions arise. One is the availability at the national level. Second is access of a household. Even when you have enough food at the national level, or even in a district level, for example, at somewhat metro level, the household may not have access in every locality. Now, there is no point in keeping 1 lakh tons of food in a district headquarters when it is not available at the right time in the villages when they need. So that access has become a critical element now. Of course, a third element is when it is not given free in a market-determined society, affordability, that becomes also a critical element. So availability, access, affordability, these three A's often used to define it. Of late, some of the well-known authors, they are also adding another dimension, stability. Of course, the other related dimensions are, for example, the sanitation, drinking water, those are related dimensions, though not directly related to food. I think again I'll say that apart from the supply side, the demand side issues are more critical at the household level, and thanks to Professor Amartya Sen's work, he as well as Jean Grech, together they have done many studies on poverty, food security. It has, what he succeeded is, given his command over logic, arguments in different circles, he succeeded to draw international attention to food security problems, to poverty problems. But going to some formal definition, the World Food Summit, it defines, I think it is there in the first line, food security exists when all people at all time have physical and economic access to sufficient, safe and nutritious food. To meet their dietary needs and food preferences for an active and healthy life. Now this definition, it highlights several things. First of all, apart from other things, it has a time dimension, not only current, but it is a forward-looking thing at all time. Then physical and economic access to sufficient, safe, nutritious food. So there is a nutritional angle also, there is a safety angle, and of course the sufficiency or adequacy angle. There is also one more angle here, food preferences. Two societies having similar income, having similar need for food. There might be food security wise, there might be different because there are people eat different food items. Their preferences are different, cultural preferences are different. So that is also another angle. Of course, when you have a forward-looking definition for future at all time, it's not easy to visualize that. We can talk about today, we can talk about next 4, 5 years or 10 years, but what will happen in future, it is difficult to say. And the best example is that during the current war, the Russia-Ukraine war, even some of the rich countries, relatively rich, they also faced food security problem. Food was just not available because they were depending so much on import. They had purchasing power, but because of the transport disruptions, it was not available to them for certain months in adequate quantity. Some of the stores were running dry. So, if you say that food security exists for all time, it becomes a bit more ambitious, aspirational, like India, if you keep a target of $30 or $40 billion economy for India in the next 10 or 15 years, it will be as ambitious as that. So, but some other people, Professor Kosik also, for example, in 2012 or 2013, he wrote a paper as Chief Economic Advisor on some of these problems, and he told this becomes more ambitious. It may not be possible, but what the government can do policy-wise, because you are the Chief Economic Advisor, you are looking at it from policy perspective, that it can assure a minimum food to everybody, and if for some natural or man-made disaster like war or natural disasters like earthquake, for some reason, if if it cannot ensure even that much, a minimum food need for all, then he was telling that what it can ensure is a fair distribution of available food. So they are again, as we go into deeper into some of these definitions, there are many items. Now, a related concept is also malnutrition. In the earlier definition, it did talk about nutritional adequacy. Now, the human body needs several types of nutrients, and food is the major source of providing the nutrients like calorie, protein, fat, various minerals, vitamins, and it needs in the right amount. When you say right amount, it is not a fixed amount, but in a small range. For example, calorie from the average meal, if you deviate 5 or 10% one side or the other, that may not cause serious problem, and it may not be possible. So we don't count how many calories I am getting per day or how many grams of fat I eat. But I have a rough idea that I need this much fat. Some days it may be less, some days it may be more. But broadly, if we keep that as a target, then that means that can meet the nutritional adequacy. So malnutrition is essentially absence of adequate nutrition. It's a condition of health disorder that occurs due to lack of sufficient amount of some essential food, some nutrients, essential nutrients. Now, when the quantity of food is less, it is not meeting our hunger. The problem that occurs immediately is one of calorie deficiency. And calorie is essential for doing several types of works. But at the same time, we also need protein, fat and other vitamins and minerals. Protein is necessary to maintain, to replace the body cells, damaged body cells, or for growth for a child. Now I just maybe, at the cost of some year, it may not, for the students at least, I will say one thing, that this, even on calorie there is a wide literature in India, because earlier the poverty line itself was getting defined, and government has a poverty target, how much, what will be the incidence of poverty or what will be the percentage of poor in a targeted year. Given that the poverty line was based on calorie need, that is the nutritional basis for the poverty line. There has been a lot of work in this field, and there is one thing which realize that calorie requirement, it differs from person to person. It depends on your age, whether you are male or female. Those are obvious possibly to anybody. But I think one major determinant in this is the kind of work you do, the intensity of work. Whether you are doing sedentary work like us, or you are doing moderately heavy work, or actually it is heavy work like a excavator, or the people who are digging earth. So calorie requirement differs quite a bit among, depending on the activity you do, and at times the person who is doing heavy work might need even 50% more calories than the other category people. Not only that, even for the same person doing similar work and maintaining body weight, even his requirement of calorie might differ from day to day. So this intra-individual variation, the earlier one was inter-individual, one person to another. This intra-individual variation, that's also been observed, that there is, there is a kind of systemic stability in the body within a certain range. Body doesn't break down, it adjusts to certain variations in nutrition. But it is only to certain amount of variations, not large. So, given the observations of people, if you observe people how much calorie they take in an experiment from different groups, from different activity levels, then you can find out what is the average requirement. And to estimate undernutrition, which is again a big topic, complicated. You are not undernourished. It has to be below, mean minus 2 standard deviation. Those who are a little bit familiar with statistics. Then there is overwhelming evidence that you are undernourished. And similarly, if your calorie intake is also too high, mean plus 2 standard deviation, you are likely to be obese. A similar definition also follows now these days. Often you see in the newspapers, particularly when the National Family Health Survey data was released last year. They follow anthropometric measures. Anthropometric measures are basically height, weight measures. Whether you are having low height for age, low weight for age, or low weight for height. These anthropometric measures, they are long-term measures. They are not, if you are suffering from undernutrition for 1 year or 2 years, it may not be reflected. But health problems will be there even in the short term. But if you want to judge society, one society against another, maybe anthropometric measures are somewhat more stable. And again, they are also they follow similar procedure, median minus 2 standard deviation. The anthropometric measures, they are the terms used there are stunting, wasting, and underweight. Now, let's now go into some of the policy fronts, but before that, maybe the constitutional provisions. So in the constitution, I will not go into the details, I have just noted down here. But the directive principles of the state policy, it does talk about nutrition. That the states shall endeavor to raise the level of nutrition and standard of living of the people.
Next.
Constitution. But apart from the constitution as such, the constitution is a living entity. It also depends on how the courts interpret the constitution. And in some of the cases about 2 decades ago, the Supreme Court observed that food, right to food, it is not part of the fundamental rights stated in the Constitution, but the court created legal entitlement. I think continue.
अच्छा कि क्लास ये भीतर किए लगे चुके हैं
मोबाइल के और
मोबाइल के और कुछ ओके No, it's not like kada jibone in acho online acho semana jodi tipe ଆପଣ
So the court created the legal entitlement on right to food and interpreted right to food as an essential element in the fundamental right to live. That's fundamental right to live. Now, some of these things I think I have already told and they are known. The focus on the early decades after independence, that was obviously on the, since we didn't have enough food, the main emphasis was on producing sufficient food to meet our demand, national demand. And soon after the 65, 66 drought years, that time the high-yielding variety seeds had been developed in Mexico and the green revolution was introduced in India. It had different elements. Apart from the HOIP, high-yielding variety seeds, it had irrigation, fertilizer, pesticides and other elements in the entire process. And many big dams were constructed at that time. The Extramural, the Hydrabad dam itself. And that time, Pandit Nehru, for example, I think while inaugurating the Hydrabad dam, he described the dams as temples of modern India. India is one of the successful stories on the food front has been the successful introduction of the Green Revolution. And it happened within just a few years. Around 67, after 67, 68, 69, it got introduced, but it spread in several areas and the country by early 70s, when we were students, at times we used to hear the story that India will be able to export 1 or 2 million tons of grain in that year. So that from turning a country from importer to exporter was a big achievement. I have given some data also. Let's not go into that. The other policy measure that was taken by the government and which got expanded over time, which has been prevalent even now, is the public distribution system. Having produced sufficient food, and the fact that that time large section of the people didn't have sufficient purchasing power or income in their hand, the government started the public distribution system to make food available certain quantities at fair price. By 1980, it covered most of the people. In fact, those ration cards, when I entered the job market in 1982, the first thing often for different entitlement of different things, even to get a gas connection, you need to show your ration card. If you don't have one, they will say, go get one. That is the, that was the other version of the 80s. But we have other now that people are asking for other card wherever you enter as your identity. The ration card was the identity. And I have also known many people who did not draw. They didn't need to draw the ration, but they used to keep ration card just for identity, that it will help sometimes. There are, of course, many well-known problems are there in the public distribution system, large leakages, diversion of food to the open market, targeting errors, and even the regional allocation by the center of food to different regions or states. At times that is also has been a matter of concern by the state governments. we don't hear about it so much now because now it is available in plenty. So, but when there was shortage and they had to distribute, these products were there. But the problem of leakages remains. But despite all that, the public distribution system has been able to reach a very wide section of the people. And particularly after the National Food Security Act of 2013, when food became a legal entitlement, the Supreme Court gave a ruling earlier, but it was not a law. But in 2013, the government created an entitlement of 5 kg of food grains per person per family. And for certain other groups, in fact, it was slightly larger for the very poor. So apart from helping in availability, affordability, the public distribution system also it helped to manage food prices. Because when food prices increase, the poor face most of the problem. They spend a larger part of their consumption expenditure on food, and because of the relative price of food, if it increases, it affects the poor more. Next one, post-Green Revolution. Post-Green Revolution, there have been several other programs. The NFSA has already told, but the another program in different versions, in different names, that has been there for last, from sometime in mid-70s or late 70s, is the employment program. Public sector creates employment for the very poor, those who are willing to work on manual level, those who are willing to work on manual level, and at an administered wage rate determined by the government, a kind of normative wage. So that is one program again apart from PDS that has been prevailing in different forms, and its most recent avatar, of course everybody knows, the MGNREGA. But the other concerns on food front, food security front, now attention has been moving from, now that quantities are available, quantities of food grains are placed, it is going, attention is being given now to composition of food basket or food diversity. What kind of food people are they just consuming cereals and some pulses, or they are consuming more than that? Are they consuming regularly fruits and vegetables, or are they taking some milk? Or those who take non-veg, are they taking some amount of meat or eggs? Those are the kind of questions that will be raised now, and some of you possibly can work on some of these things. So these are the protein and vitamin items, and of course, what I told earlier also, the sanitary conditions, which were neglected for long, but in last 7-8 years it is getting a little bit more attention. The NFSA 2013, its entitlement, it covers about 2/3 of the people, about 75% in rural areas and about 50% in urban areas. So that's a fairly large section, and that possibly, it becomes very helpful even during a disaster management time like the Corona pandemic, that the government, because the machinery was there, machinery of food distribution, the institution was there, and that played a critical role, because the institutions were there, government could quickly distribute free food in addition to the entitlement in NFSA. And you could do it, of course, because you have the code. So the total coverage is now about, what we understand is about 80 crores out of 130 total population. Along with this, of course, what I was telling earlier, the employment policy, that is also related to the income policy. Again, I can't go into the history, but except to say that there are two kinds of policies. I'm telling some of these things because I thought the changing nature of food security and its policies, that will give a wider perspective to the students. They can pick up some of the things as per their lacking or. So there are two types of programs. One is what I was telling, the MG and data, wage employment programs. The other one is government also provides loans and grants to self-employed people. IRTT was the earlier version which was very popular, but currently again this government also is having several programs for the self-employed. And indeed it also tried to help them after the lockdown. Now another question that might come up. About 11:30 now. I can take about 10 minutes. 10-15 minutes. One question that is often asked, particularly in the international field, if India is growing at such a high rate, about 6% on a trend basis after the reforms, or even possibly, depending on periods you take, it will be 7%. But there is also a period 2003 to 2011 when it grew at more than 8%. This kind of growth rate, given this magnitude of growth, why is it having nutritional problems? There are of course many reasons why it may have. I have dealt with already some of the problems that overall income growth may not mean that the benefits of growth is spread far and wide. Some people may not benefit from that. And that happens in every country. No growth process it benefits all the citizens unless the government decides to do it. But the pathways, and this is being talked about these days quite a bit, that what is the pathway in which income growth affects SDGs or food security and some of these social problems, including health. There are two pathways basically for all these things. One is, if a household is having more income, it can spend more, it can consume more food, it can take care of the child nutrition in a better way, more effective way, and also it can spend on healthcare. Because often it is the absence of healthcare that suddenly it causes the health problem and the food security problem for a household. The other pathway, of course, apart from directly from the household, the government revenue, along with growth, the government revenue also increases, and government can spend more on health, education, nutrition, and so on. And of course, some of the other programs that we are telling that government revenue will be more flexible. Next one, please. Yeah, what has been the outcome? You can see this here that, this is of course a little bit dated data because we don't have recent consumption expenditure data. The most recent round survey is going on now, and hopefully sometime next year it will come out. but this is the 2011-12 data. And what one can say is, even if we take the average calorie level of different groups, about 25% in rural area and about 15% in urban area, their calorie intake is less than that of ICMR recommended average level. And when I say ICMR recommended levels, that takes into account the kind of inter-individual or intra-individual variation that I was talking about already. So that's the current thing that, possibly over time we have been able to reduce the problem of undernutrition, not malnutrition, I'm talking of undernutrition, that is quantum of calorie, not balanced diet as such, the protein, fat or vitamins and minerals. Possibly we have been able to reduce it to about, somewhere between 15 to 25% of the population. That's the incidence currently. Now, some of the other policies, in this context, what people are asking in next one page. Oh, yeah, it is there already. Given the earlier thing that 15 to 20% or 25% of the population are having undernutrition problem in terms of calorie. Often undernutrition word is used to indicate calorie, whereas malnutrition is used to indicate all other, calorie as well as other nutrient intakes. The question that is being raised in several policy circles, and some of it you might be reading in some of the newspapers also or other papers. Do we need to continue with the kind of food subsidy that we have in terms of procurement of grains at fixed prices from the farmers, and in terms of distribution, both the angles, procurement as well as distribution, because the difference is being made by the government, whatever the cost differences are there, in the form of food subsidy, either to the miller or to the consumer. Now the question basically, to put it directly, is do we need to interfere with the market mechanism to provide food security at this stage, or we need to target only a small section of the people, or alternatively, and which is being covered now by many intellectuals, do we need some kind of income support instead of direct subsidy in terms of food? These are the kind of questions that is being asked. So I do not think the clear-cut answer has emerged yet, but the current debate for those who want to work on PhD or MPhil, or they want to do other term papers, these are possibly the kind of questions that will be put. Do we need this kind of food subsidy for all? Now, income support. Next. The alternative that I was talking is, the term that is being used, widely these days, and particularly after the transformation that is being talked about in economics after the COVID, do we need a different type of social organization or economic organization, is universal basic income. Its origin that some people are not getting certain items of basic minimum needs, whether it is food or other items. But instead of disturbing the market prices, let the market take care of it, so that, but if you leave it to the market, there is some incentive that the producer gets incentive to produce. Also, it doesn't get incentive to produce excess. Similarly, the consumers also, we try to look for some kind of optimal level depending on the prices. So the alternative they are suggesting is universal basic income. At times it is also called the minimum support, minimum income support. Now, one of the basic features of the universal basic income is you make it available, like our National Food Security Act, make it available to all except a few. There is an exclusion, there is no inclusion clause. All, so it defines who will be excluded. You may say that, okay, if you are an income tax paying, you may be excluded, or if you have large amount of land above, you have to define that. Then you may be excluded, or certain other assets. If you have a medium-sized company, small scale, not small, maybe medium-scale industry, then you may be excluded. These are some of the things. A clear-cut definition which is visible, which is not controversial, on which there can be a broad consensus. If you exclude them, then maybe roughly about 25-30% of the population will be excluded. And you make it universal for all others. Then the advantage of that is, you don't have to say that I need a car. You just have to say, I don't have these things, I'm not an income tax paying, or I don't have so much of land. You have to just show those, normal documentations, which is normally available with the government agencies. I think along with that, if the government can focus on health and education delivery system a little bit more efficiently. They are very, very unsatisfactory in some cases. Some cases they are, of course, they are satisfactory enough. But if government can focus a bit more on social sector delivery system, then possibly we can move forward more efficiently, resources will be available. And here I will say one more thing, that when we talk of regional growth or regional food security, regional income provision for different people, try to also make use of local resources and traditional craft. We have large amount of traditional knowledge which can be made use of to generate sufficient income to different sections of the people, and government can help in that. The impact of the COVID-19. I have already told about how the government was giving additional food over and above the NFSA entitlement. And that indeed helped, so when the reverse migration occurred, and the pictures were available on the TV and newspapers, it affected the consciousness of the nation. Do we need to do it? Why should people suffer so much? Of course, the government, that time one of the problems during COVID-19 was nobody knew how it is going to spread in the beginning. What is the effect? Nobody knew, not only in India but in other countries also. So different countries adopted lockdown. The problem in India was it came with couple of hours notice. It was announced at 8 o'clock at night and it was effective from 12 o'clock at night. It didn't give time for people to reallocate their work pattern or if you had got about a week's time. Some of the migrants who returned home because of lockdown, because work was not available to them, income was not there to maintain. Possibly they could have returned home a little bit more smoothly, okay, in a more decent way. Government realized it and they also, they responded. That is the good part, that a democratic government responds sooner or later. Apart from that, the finance minister was clear from the beginning that if there is a demand for Manrega work, resources will not be a constraint. So these two things, I think they helped to meet the food security and to have a kind of minimum income guarantee to the people during the COVID-19. It could have been very, very disastrous as some of the other countries have faced, even in our neighborhood. But I think these two things helped. And even, normal critics of the government, and some of the policies of the government, not always, even they admit that yes, at least 80% of the people who are entitled to get the benefit, they have got it. They have done wide-scale surveys and they have, normally they have come out that overall at least 80% of the people did get the benefit. And that helped in maintaining social stability. We didn't see any kind of food riots that was there just before independence in 1943, Bengal Payment, or even, during the drought of 65-66. So, I think that in a sense, that shows the progress of the country and also the sensitivity of the government in a democracy. Now I think it is possibly time to conclude. What I have been telling is different dimensions of food security, both at aggregate level as well as at the household level, then excess income, also the complementary factors which I have not dealt so much with today are clean water and sanitation. At the same time, the nutritional education possibly will be a big item in the coming days. Nutritional education, particularly for those who are overweight. This is becoming a big problem. 10 to 15% of the children now are overweight. So, a proper nutritional education, communication, that possibly will be the need of the next decade or so. At the other end, in the bottom end of the pyramid, we have to target still about 15-20% of the population. But so far as micronutrients are concerned, the vitamin deficiency, the iron deficiency, those are widespread across all sections. I think there we are lacking, even if I have seen many who take iron tablets, still they suffer from the iron deficiency problem. So maybe that, given our genetic composition, Indian gene and other things, maybe our nutritionists and the science community have to look at it from somewhat different angle and design certain things which will suit us. Vitamin A, milk is a very good source of vitamin A, and blindness is becoming a big problem at certain age, and vitamin A deficiency possibly would also require attention. children and women are particularly vulnerable groups and they need special targets, whether it is in terms of ICDS program or some other program which is an enhanced version of that, that also could be thought of. And again, these are topics for the students. But the other point, of course, I have already told that the market intervention mechanism might need a reload, and an affordable income transfer mechanism may substitute that. These things needs to be examined, whether we can do it, what will be the pros and cons of some of these things. I think, maybe in the next 4 or 5 years, these are the issues that will be discussed more and more in the field of food security, poverty, and related problems. Thank you so much.
Extensive and intensive deliberation on that topic, starting from the national level food security concern, the production of more food grain to ensure food security, to household level access and affordability of food grains. You have started with the calorie or undernutrition concept to malnutrition, that is deficiency of micronutrients. We have also talked about the policies of the government, starting from the facility, starting from the policy to have green revolution, introduction of HIV, and introduction of public distribution system to ensure income through employment and employment generation programs of 70s to Manrega of 2005, and also you talked how the government has helped through its institution the saving of people from hunger and starvation during COVID-19. We have also talked about now we have led to a situation where we find there is also cost through public delivery of food grains, because the cost of subsidy is huge. Can we not think of market mechanism to take care of through its incentives of availability of adequate food and purchase of the preferred food basket from the market, and additional thing required is the transfer of income to the people. I am also reminded of the lecture of Dept in 2003 in a refresher course. You are talking why we are concerned about that poverty line income till now. When with the NSSO data, we are in a position to calculate the people who are undernourished. Why we are not considering that undernutrition percentage as the people under poverty? Instead of doing that, we are talking of the percentage of poverty line, taking the upgradation of that poverty line income using the price index. Thank you, sir, very much for your deliberation. Now the floor is open for discussion, both for the online participants as well as participants sitting here. Subrat, please take care.
Alumni and Panda sir has really delivered a remarkable topic on the topic food security. I have some points to actually, if permitted, I want to add something which is said at the local level by me, particularly regarding this food security. Actually, government has done a lot during the last several years. It's already being mentioned by Panda sir. Starting from the grain excise policy of government in some states, particularly in Odisha also, it is acting negatively on the food security program that is being undertaken by the government. We have seen at different village level, we have seen the subsidized food that is given to families and the Manrega that is for earning the scheme that is for the earning of the poor. When the food is secured at home, most of the money earned through Manrega by the poor class is being wasted on liquor. The excise policy of the government is acting adversely on the food security, and that is acting adversely not just 1 or 2 times. I would say 10 or 12 times. In the sense, when liquor is opened at the rural level, it is adversely affecting the educational, health and everything at the village level, which is not supplementary to the government policy in the form of Manrega. That is one point. And second, we should include the role of SSG in doing things supplementing to the policy of the government. SSG has got a very major role. Once the SSG has come to the front, this the rural scene has changed because they have the lady group have become organized, and the negative things that is being to some extent, in my opinion, to some extent, because ladies are more concerned about their family than the men in rural area. When they are associated in the SSG and some power is given by the government to the SSG group, they become proactive and they are helping in fostering the food security at rural level. That is a positive side, and the excise policy is a negative side. I think the 2 points can be added to what Panda sir has already given in this case.
We had a very nice explanation about the food security, ranging from different aspects and again historical perspective. But the practical applicability of all the principles and policies that has been adopted by the state, I would like to cite 1 or 2 examples in which we find that there is failure so as to deliver the good that is identified or that is being prescribed. You all know that so far as the marketability of the products after the production, the mandi system, it is not identical in all the districts. So far as I know that I belong to Kalahandi as did our speaker, honorable speaker, he has from the district. We have a very nice system of procurement. Recently I have visited one of the villages in Bhadrak district, and I found that in a village every household has got a larger pile of products been kept to them. I question that since the mandi has already started, why don't you put the things in the market and in the mandi? And what is the price? I was surprised to know that, as you all know, that in this year the support prices of food grains have been fixed at 2040 rupees. But I am afraid that in Bhadrak, they used to sell that it is 1,950 rupees. I was surprised that whether the Bhadrak district is staying outside the purview of the state government or otherwise. So that is an issue that is to be taken care of by the state government. That can, I suppose, that can also enhance the food entitlement and food security on the part of the people, because a portion of the people in the state, they are not getting the support price that is being prescribed by the government. And they used to say that they are supposed to sell the output to outside the come from West Bengal or otherwise to get a better price. So in that respect, we have to also take care of, and over and above, we have very nice deliberation. I thank Professor Panda, because we were together in Odisha Economic Association and we had a very nice discussion in that. And today also we enjoyed a very nice discussion on behalf of myself and all the alumni. I must thank Professor Panda for that. Thank you.
I must thank our Reverend Professor Manoj with the alumni of this department for giving such a noble lecture. And the topic is very relevant in this present situation. If we think about this food policy and food security, which is our talk about, then we must also think about another issue which is coming to my mind, that is how the purchasing power should be transferred to the people so that they can purchase the goods we are talking about, or sir had already discussed. So in this context, we must also think about the policy which government have started in the year 2011, that is the inclusive policy or the inclusive growth. And while discussing about this inclusive growth, how the policy of inclusive growth tells that the marginalized people, how they should be brought about to the growth process. And for that, a number of policies by different organizations like World Bank, IMF, they have started, and they talked about the cash transfers and in-kind transfers. And in this process, Government of India have started a number of policies. MGNRG is one of them. Then midday meal, where we are going to associate the different types of in-kind transfer to the marginalized people. So I just include to sir's deliberation that we must also think about how we should transfer the purchasing power to the people. That's
So that means we can conclude that India is doing good in terms of availability of food and not better in the providing quality of food.
The recent economic survey says during 2022-23, the Government of India allocated 970 lakh tons of food grains to states and union territories under an NFSA and other budget schemes. Is it enough to tackle down the poverty situation and malnutrition problem in India, or it is enough to meet the food security in India?
Good afternoon everyone, my name is Dept. If government reduce the food subsidy, then this will be any impact on economy or not?
Food security is reduced.
Of the local government in this context.
In fertilizers, pesticides, in terms of this, will it benefit to the farmers? Because it creates a major hurdle in international level.
People earning money and spending it on labor. Basically, that has serious implications, not only on food security, but on household bills also. Whether we encourage or not by government policy or by government revenue considerations, that's a different question. But what can the public do? What can the social organizations do? They can play a major role in reducing or in creating consciousness in the people that consumption of liquor is not going to happen. This education part, I think, say at some stage in the education, the success comes with hard work. But once the success is there, it spreads. It spreads like COVID. If you see one group become successful, the other groups also get up. I'll tell you once this time we were in Hydrabad together in connection with the survey. And when we talked to the SSD, which was also, sorry, your question, SSD should be developed. This anecdote that I'm going to tell you, this SSD group, they told one of their, the women in India, they told one of their achievement has been to stop health in the village. Because the men, they used to get weekly wage payment from the neighboring town, and they used to spend the money when coming back home in the village itself, and then come and start all sorts of conditions about kilometers away. Then what did you achieve? They told, okay, this frequency has come down. And by the time they take liquor and walk back home, the effect also is not very reduced. So, it has different forms. But the general point that SSG has a big role in food security and certain food security at the household level, ensuring nutritional security, and in educating people. That we must, we have to recognize that, and I think that is becoming a major orientation in policy forums also. They have to assess, have to be involved more clearly in different forums, and also in creating earning opportunities. They are doing very well in several parts. The question on support price not being enforced, what can I say? The government has announced a price, that is not being enforced, and the people are accepting it. Personally, the government cannot do much. They cannot do much because it's also must be their knowledge. But what they can do is, say, in a democracy, a vigilant society can only enforce several things. And if government has announced certain price and that is not being, it's a limitation. If that is not being enforced, the society can play a role. I have also, not only just in terms of price, I have also heard that when you sell 1 quintal of rice, they take away 30 kgs. In the measurement itself.
Not at 10 kilo.
Now it is 10 kilos. So, so whether it is a permissible thing or not, that should be widely discussed, and the civil society can enforce it. I will not leave everything to government because they are part of the system. So after several things work smoothly in educational institutions, several things work in several other things. So in this case also, if the whole society is active and the farmers are organized, by telling me it can be purchasing power and in-kind transfer. So there are two things. One is when you transfer things in kind. The household item is essential to use that. If you transfer cash, even though I was telling her towards the end that the universal income transfer should be there, that might be better. But there is no guarantee that people will use it for the purpose for which you are creating it. You are transferring the money. Absolutely no. Once money is fungible, and once you give it, it is up to the household. Again, education will play a role. But it has only a limited role. But on the inclusive growth part, marginal growth, I do believe that even if you don't want market intervention in a wide scale, the support system for the lowest 2 or 3 deciles in some form or other, it has to continue. There are some other reasons also, I will come to that soon to answer to other questions. Ranking. Sir, I have read, I presume that this question is in the context of some of the recent news articles that our ranking and nutritional outcome is very poor. The nutritional outcome ranking that is being referred to in some of those reports, they are the anthropometric ranking, and like wasting, underweight, and so on, stunting. Now, those are basically long-term solution. Yes, thank you. Presumably going down in some of those things, but I had written a couple of more slides on some of these things, but I didn't give it because I thought I exceeded my time. I'll tell you just one thing. Thank you for asking it. Sometime about 20 years ago, the then chairman of Extramural, Kumar, they used to discuss SN enigma, that by anthropometric underweight problem, that is weight of children for a particular age, that is been confined more and more in Asia. So they wrote the paper titled SN enigma. Of late, the underweight problem is not so serious now in Nepal or Bangladesh. And it looks like that, are we getting, is the problem getting confined to India only? We do not know, but it appears to be like that if the data are correct. And that is a serious concern from the long-term point of view. At the same time, I only add one more thing, that several intellectuals, they are also questioning the norm itself. The median minus 2 standard deviation that I was telling. The median norm used here. What they are telling is, you are taking the standards of developed countries and using it for India. But that question also, the other side, the answer is, if Bangladesh and Nepal can do it, why not do it? So, these are the problems I am posing. There is no clear-cut answer, but it is going to be a problem to be studied in the next 2 years. Under nutrition, this is not intake measure, this is outcome measure, anthropometric outcome measure. There might be other outcome measures also, we have to look into it, but these are possibly robust outcome measures over decades. The 970 lakh, is that good target? Or, it depends what you want to target. But what exactly was your question? Speak a bit louder.
The recent economic survey says during 2022-23, the government of India allocated 970.1 lakh tons of proteins to states and union territories in India under NFSA and other welfare schemes. Is it enough to tackle down the current poverty situation and malnutrition problem in India, or is it enough to get the food security in India?
Yeah, okay. If I understood right, what you are telling is particular education amount is not sufficient to meet the requirements of the economy. Okay. So, so far as NFSA or NREGA, these are legal entitlements. The government is bound to give it. So the allocations are only initial. If it has to be increased, they will do it. Provided they can be. Some action group have to highlight that people are not getting it. But that allocations are there in some of these villages. Or what comes to the district, only 90% of the villages get, not 10%. I think this issue needs to be highlighted. Whether 970 lakh tons is good enough or not, that can be easily calculated by taking the entitlement, the proportion of people in village and urban, in urban area and rural area, and multiplying it by 5 kg is the norm, that the entitlement. And for AAY, it is slightly more, it is calculated for the household as well. But my own feeling is 970 lakh, close to 10 billion tons. Possibly government will not make mistakes in calculating that. They might have, the only way mistake can come is last year the uptake was not there. If in a recent year they allocate more, and if the uptake is not there, they do consider that likely uptake is not there, so let's allocate this much. See, but the government always revises it after 26 months, if there is a demand. Similarly for Hyderabad, the demand is not there because of several reasons, including partly the government's inaction, that wages are not paid on time. But the Indian demand on average has been about 30 to 40 days at the all India level. In Odisha, possibly it is been higher. I am not certain, but I am certain that in Alumni, about 2 years ago, when they asked me to look into it, I looked into it. It was average was only 15 days. And it is in this context again, I was trying to link it to my lesson that why work is not getting, why there is no demand for work. That could be one reason. Or there is demand for work, but it is not being provided. If it is not being provided, a legal entitlement, it should be highlighted in place in public purpose. The government will be forced to give it. You can even create new lesson channels. Provided you go and do some documentation properly. Press has to do it, the intellectual groups have to do it. So that documentation is critical to show that evidence is there. So one thing is certain, that in a democracy, government responds to the needs of the people, but it is not always benevolent. The visionary is not benevolent always. It has to be made to be benevolent. And who will make it? It is the people, the organizations, the social organizations, the institutions outside the government. If you remove subsidy, will that be an impact? Yes, of course. Because if you remove or increase, that will have an impact. Absolutely no doubt. But the question that comes is, okay, if currently the will that number rise? Possibly yes. But what I was also telling is, if you simultaneously, instead of food subsidy, if you try to give some kind of minimum income support, it has to be a reasonable amount. It should not be just 500 rupees a month to a family. That is, in disaster and all, it's still okay when subsidies are taken. But if you remove subsidy, it has to be a larger amount so that it is, you have maybe poverty line to be a norm or something similar. And if that can be done, then maybe that food consumption may not decline. You have to work the other way. So one thing is, when subsidies are prevalent for several decades, we just don't know how people will behave once it is withdrawn. We know how people behave in the top income groups who don't get subsidy. But when I was seeing some of the data, average data, what we have seen is in different states or even at all India level, the food grain demand per capita per month, it is actually stable last 2-3 decades. Small differences, around 12 kg, 13 kg a month. It's kind of plateau. Small variations are there. So at least we need to fall below that. I actually don't know. Without evidence, what we say, you have to experiment. If it is falling by a larger amount and the income transfer is not able to compensate that, then we have to again do a mix of policies. There is no single answer in policies like this. One has to experiment and observe. Local government, on food subsidy, local governments can play a major role. See, when I was a child, I remember in the Gram Panchayat there used to be a Panda factory. And they used to store ready there to meet the local rate at the time of crisis. Now, of course, communication facilities are much better, and even the FCI programs and other things. Incidentally, food subsidy is reoriented. FCI will be the first regularity. But with that argument, the role of the local government will be critical in educating the people, in making the things available at the district or block level, making that available at the village level or the ward level. There the role of the third player, but I think that matters. And the Gram Sabha can play a role, and also the Panchayat. If MSP is less than the price in the market, if at the same time, if it is average, it is different, average over the years or over a year. But if it is simultaneously, if it is less than the market, nobody will sell it. Why will they sell it? It is not compulsory. Unless government makes it compulsory that you have to sell it to the mandi only, then only they will go. And if they need to make it compulsory, there will be large linkages. So, my own feeling is MSP acts as a lower floor kind of thing. It is possible that at some other time prices may go down, but not simultaneously.
It's also the other way around, in the sense that people used to sell their output to the government. Once they have registered their name and they have got a token. So they are supposed to get the prescribed MSP. But in the absence of that, suppose somebody has not done it, they are forced to sell the output to middlemen.
Yeah.
Yes. That's also, so the other way around, what he asked, the other way around this way also.
And market price might be lower.
Yeah.
But obviously, this is only, I have freedom to sell to Professor Das and Professor Misra. I will sell to none of them over this move. Unless there are legal restrictions. Yeah, I think these are some of the questions. I think there is a question on fertilizer and pesticide. This is more a science question. General realization is there that where if you subsidize fertilizer or pesticide, there is overconsumption. And that's why I was saying that intervene in the market to a smaller extent, don't do extensive intervention. Then everything gets destroyed. We don't know how people will behave also. But fertilizer and pesticide, obviously overconsumption has to be arrested. In some places where the green revolution started first, for example in Ludhiana district, there is a train from Ludhiana to Chandigarh, yes, which is known as cancer train. It is so much widespread now, thanks to the overconsumption of fertilizer and plant. So these are the emerging problems, and one has to find out how to answer them.
We are having issues in Bargad also.
Yeah, in Bargad also. Okay. So once it is there for generations, 2 generations now, then such problems are likely to come. And maybe that if we are overusing, we have to reduce it, we have to reorient it. And now we can do it. This is the time we can do it because we can afford to do it. We have so much of rain now. We can experiment it for 1 or 2 years, see whether production is falling down or not. In the absence of excess consumption of fertilizer. Reduce it by 5-10%. Don't do drastic reduction.
Neem coated.
Yes,
Neem coated also has come because of that.
Yeah, because the our traditional fertilizer, they are also possibly not effective. So these are the things that we have to experiment, we have to learn. I think. So I will only get one more point. The way technology is changing, and we are talking about income transfer and all that. There is one more deeper issue. People are not getting it. And that is not the answer to all employment problems. First, government cannot give work to everybody. It can only give certain type of works to some people during late season. But the overall demand for employment is coming down. If you see, even in USA, the share of wage in national income is coming down. Last 60 years, steady decline. So also in India, in all of these countries. Why? Because of technological change. Technology is regressive. I was told that, for example, Yeah, JCB. I was told by its chairman, Governor, that he told me to come to Rajasthan plant, you will see that there is hardly any worker there. It's all automated. Only some workers are there to take care of the overall management and outside security and other things. So everything is automated. How do we generate employment? How do we ensure that everybody has a minimum income? It is in this context that not only just for no subsidy, that may not happen, but it is in this context that the need for universal cash transfer or universal income transfer, that need has been felt. To what extent we can do, we do not know. One major constraint is our tax revenue ratio, tax revenue as a proportion of GDP. That ratio, it has been nearly constant for several decades. Why is it so? If you take center and states together, it is about 17%, 1% low or 1% more, 60 to 80% also. Why is it so? State government about one-third, state revenue. Center about two-thirds of that. Of late, in fact, it is only about 10-11%. Why is it so? And if we just go on giving tax benefits to different organizations, because internationally, they are active. They are very, the investors are very, very active in lobbying. They want all benefits, comparable benefits in different countries, particularly in the financial investors. Because they can change things, billions of dollars can transfer only within few minutes. It doesn't require any particularly, just a few clicks and it can be transferred. Given that situation, unless they want comparable taxes, then how do what is the source of government revenue that it can afford to give universal income benefit to all? I think it is in this context that, since I was telling that the share of wages are coming down and share of profit is going up, you can say, billions of or billionaires, so many now, even during the COVID period, they made use of technology, tried to solve, made some excess profit. Margins were high. Though the facilities were given, if I want medicines in my village, which is about 30 kilometers from Bharatapatnam, somebody will come and deliver. I have to pay a price. But the excess profits they collected, some of them become delivered. So because of that, I think the new social element, I am calling it social element because government on its own personally is a bit less effective in doing it. There has to be overall social agreement, social pressure and all that. That we need some kind of social transfer after COVID-19. A new contract has to be there. So after the French Revolution, the liberty, equality and fraternity, those things were there. And governments took measures over, it didn't happen over one day, but it happened over several years. A similar transformation has to be there. That if you are not getting employment, then what do you do? How will you survive? So it is in this context that some kind of new social arrangement to make food subsidy, to make minimum income for a decent level of living, that has to be looked into, and widespread discussion is needed. And hopefully will, like all other problems, will also come out, some acceptable solution will be there. One solution will be tax the profit. Don't limit. We don't limit when it is profit income is becoming 70-80% of the total income. If I earn a couple of lakh rupees in a month, I pay income tax. Somebody earns crores of rupees in profit and no income tax. I mean no expense. And what do? They don't take it. The profit income, most of it, they don't take it. They distribute it to the company which they own. That is not acceptable. These are some of the basic problems in our overall thinking. That at some stage, those kind of measures were needed. There are times when we have to encourage industry, when we have to encourage investment, just like we have to encourage food consumption, food subsidy. But as things move, we have to recalibrate the policies. We have to rethink what is feasible and what is not. And I think from the equity income or the wealth tax has to be introduced. Equity income and the tax are, if there is a capital gain tax, it is only 10%. on income tax is high to 5%. Why? Why there is no wealth tax? Wherever there is no wealth tax. Even if they introduce, do you know what is the income wealth ratio? In total now, this ratio is only, some people have now, Professor Ram Singh, useful, you are his calculation so that it is only 3 to 4%. Income is only 3 to 4% of total wealth. Then how can we live wealth from the taxation network? What will you have to collect? You are only collecting taxes of 3% and say that universal cash transfer is not possible. That's not an acceptable answer. Okay, I can go on, but thank you so much. Thanks for your very good questions. And I hope you are not going to go.
We have heard so much from our teachers, DM sir, then Professor, Madam, Sarah sir, they have told us so much about it. So this is our privilege to have you here. At the outset, I would like to express my deep sense of gratitude to Professor Manoj Panda sir for sparing his valuable time for the lecture and enlightening us all with his intellectual inputs. Thank you, sir. I would also like to thank Dr. Lucy Pati, Deputy Registrar, GM University, and the Alumni Association of the department for their kind cooperation in organizing this lecture. I extend my thanks to the head of the Department Economics, Professor Sanjita Das Madam, Dr. Lokamudra Mishra Madam, for making this event possible and providing a supportive hand. I would like to thank the faculty members from other colleges and institutions for their cooperation. And an event like this is unimaginable without the scholars and students. They need to be thanked for their enthusiasm. Thank you very much.
Formally